A negotiated contract price was reached with the lone bidder, Rock and Road Construction. The Public Works Department recommends award of the wastewater pump station 5 replacement project to Rock and Road Construction for an amount not to exceed $662,757. Is there a motion?
So move.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Member Wohlhuter and seconded by Member Strand. Discussion.
I have a question. Well, is 662,000 the bid, or has this been adjusted?
Chris or Carl, you want to speak through the process?
That's the negotiated price. The original bid price was $757,457. Yeah, $757,457, and so we negotiated it down 94,000 or whatever that is. So got
Nancy?
yeah.
And what funding did we have put aside before? For the, I'm sorry, I just don't recall those figures.
Well, we've got a combination of funding sources. We have the DEC loan in place for $728,000. We've got approval for another $81,000 that we haven't gotten worked out with them yet, but they've told us the money's available.
Right, I just wondered what our first estimate was.
Oh, you want the
for
estimate?
The job, yeah.
Well, the construction estimate at the time of bid was $613,000. The range given was $550 to $650, and we came in over $750.
Okay, thank you.
So we wanted to get it down quite a bit.
Right, thank you.
If I may, just wanted to thank Chris and Carl both, but I think Chris did the lion's share of the work. We went back and negotiated, Chris did, with Rock and Road as well as their subcontractors, and was able to get this price down to a level that's within the budget that we can actually keep this project online.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Kurt.
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
Okay, visitors' views related to the agenda. Visitors' views unrelated to the agenda. Mr. Anderson.
Thanks again for having me. Not a whole lot of updates from the Forest Service side different from the last time I visited. I would offer that I did sit in on a conference call with some of the officials from mental health who have the signature authority for the easement that we've been trying to acquire from them for the Ravens Trail. It was a very good discussion. We walked them through the timeline that we have for this fiscal year in order to not only receive an executed easement, but then act upon that to push some dollars into contracting. These are funds that were actually offered up by the Resource Advisory Committee here in the community. Those funds are actually affected by sequestration this year, so there's a little bit of a disconnect in terms of how much money is actually available after sequestration. That said, those funds are available, or some portion of them. We'd really hate to see them go back to Treasury when that trail has such a dire need. We expressed all of this to this mental health associates, or the individuals on the call, and they seemed very confident that they could actually produce the easement within the required time frame so that we could actually start moving into the contracting phase and at least get an obligation on those dollars before the end of the year. By no means will those dollars get us a finished product. They're just a drop in the bucket for what that trail actually needs, but it's an important first step is getting that easement and then moving through those dollars. So I'll keep the community apprised as that transpires. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll actually see the first draft from mental health. The other primary issue that I wanted to seek the council's permission on, I'm here on behalf of a group called the One People Canoe Society. I don't actually represent them in an official capacity, but this is a group that has sort of banded together over the years to support native canoeing, Southeast Alaska natives and canoeing projects or journeys that they've done in relationship to large events. And the one that's pretty, right on the horizon now is the Chief Shake's rededication in Wrangell here in a couple of weeks. There are groups of canoers coming from several communities in Southeast, Yakutat, Juneau, Sitka, Cake, 3 communities on Prince of Wales, and the intent is to all have them converge in Wrangell for the May 4th weekend. I think they'll actually get there May 2nd as part of the rededication ceremony. They asked the Forest Service if we would participate this year and actually crew one of the canoes, and we agreed. We've got people from the community as well as from other Forest Service offices in the region coming down, and we're going to join them on April 30th as they pass through Petersburg, and we'll paddle the next couple of days into Wrangell. The issue that's come up for this group is as they make their journey, or the legs of their journey, they need a place to camp, and there's a lot of them. There's anywhere from 50 to 55 people right now that'll be passing through Petersburg. There's really no convenient place north or south of Petersburg for a group that size to camp other than Sandy Beach. We've looked at facilities like our old Scow Bay warehouse area. They're going to camp at Greens Camp at the end of their journey through the Narrows. But Sandy Beach seems to be the only viable place to camp them out where they can, come up on shore, have a comfortable place to camp for the night. They do have actually motor vessels supporting them, so I think that might be how they get their canoes drugged back out to low tide in the middle of the day, now that I think about it. But knowing that they would have to seek the permission of the Assembly, I offered to do that for them. And here, I think that there should be a letter in your pre-work packet that expressed what's going on. So I'm here to ask for permission on their behalf, and we'll be joining them one way or the other. So, thanks.
Any questions for Mr. Anderson?
Hold up, Mr. Anderson. Legal question here. Seeing how this is in the form of a resolution, can we pass this in one meeting? We can?
Resolution, yeah,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, it was on the agenda that he asking for approval.
Okay.
And I would be willing, just to help with this group, notify any of the adjacent landowners and just do a little PR work to make sure that people understand that, there'll be 50 people camping, and we'll be there to help them. They understand the importance of being quiet, that they are near a residential area.
And they should be tired.
Oh, they will be. Some will be they'll be on the water for almost a week by that point. My guess is they're going to hit shore and go right to sleep.
Yeah.
I have a
Nancy?
question. Will they be camping there on the way back as well?
No, I believe they're all arranging for commercial transportation back home after nearly 10 days on the water. I
It's
think
one
they're
of
going to be
those
tired of
once
those
in a
canoes.
lifetime trips.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, well, hopefully not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Kathy, where would be the proper time for us to act on the
You
resolution?
can actually act on it right now.
Right now? Okay.
Then I would like to make a motion that we approve this resolution to allow the one people canoe society to camp at Sandy Beach on May 3rd and 4th.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Clerk? Oh,
I'd like to
oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
that's
Yes,
okay. I just wanted to chime in if I could.
sure.
As far as Parks and Recreation goes, we do support this, and we think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to have them at Sandy Beach, especially with the history that Sandy Beach has. And there's no doubt that that's a perfect place for them to be.
Right.
We do have some concerns. Number one, the noise level according to the neighbors. I've talked to some of the neighbors already this morning and today just to make sure to see if there were any concerns. And most people have said that they don't have that. I do have a few things that I would ask from that group, some specific rules. And so but this is really just a question. Once this resolution is passed, do I have the authority to be able to meet with this group and just make sure there are certain guidelines that they follow?
I would certainly think so, that you could work with Jason and get the details figured out.
That'd be great.
Yeah, thank you. Anything further?
Facilities, is there going to be enough bathroom facilities?
They'll have to add.
Well, at this point, we only have 2 bathrooms open. The other 2 bathrooms will not be finished in time for April 30th. So we'll only have those 2 bathrooms available. I know Public Works does have a couple of porta potties we could bring down there if need be. We will also need an additional trash can that will be brought down. That is a cost of about $95 to Parks and Recreation. I don't know if that's something that Public Works would be willing to waive. I did a budget for it. I'm sorry. And there are a few costs that would be added on to this just to make it happen. I mean, 40 people on the beach is a little more than that park is used to.
we'll if I may, we'll make it happen. This is a very important event for Wrangell, and for these folks as well, who put a lot of work into it. So I think we can make it a nice time for them, and we'll make arrangements at our end to make sure it happens.
And it is wonderful. They will be paddling through the Narrows, so everyone will get a chance to see the canoes. So, thank you. Yes,
I
Cindy.
was just going to say that I believe PIA and Alaska Native Sisterhood and Brotherhood are also participating, and they may be willing to help out with some of the logistical elements of things.
Oh, good idea. Okay. Are we ready for the question? Go ahead, Kathy.
Kurt,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
and Sue.
Yes, so the resolution passes 4-0. Thank you. That'll be great. Any other visitors? Views unrelated? Mike.
Good evening. I'm Mike Steenbrook, and I represent myself. I live in town and own property in Kupernoff and lived there for a number of years. I came here tonight to give a reminder to the Borough Assembly on what's coming up with the Cape Petersburg Intertie and the possible Cape Petersburg Road projects. Both projects are doing separate draft environmental impact statements. The draft environmental impact statement for the Intertie will be the first to come out. No set date yet, but due to come out sometime after the end of May. It is important for both the draft it is important both before the draft environmental impact statement comes out, and especially after, for the Borough Assembly, the City of Kupernoff, and the public to comment. These are the windows to affect and direct the decision-making process. Where do we want or not want the transmission line and the transmission corridor? The Cape Petersburg draft EIS is soon approaching. This afternoon, I spoke with Tetra Tech. That's the outfit that's doing the Intertie draft EIS. I understand that there are at least 3 possible routes. 2 options on the northern route and 1 on the central-south route via the Tonka Road system. One choice means a transmission corridor through the city of Kupernoff and getting power lines to the other side of Petersburg Creek. Let me be clear. I'm opposed to this option. What I'm asking tonight is that the Borough Assembly studies these projects on an inclusive borough-wide scale. We all have skin in the game, and the time is now. This is the future for both sides of the Narrows. I'm asking that the borough fulfill one of its election promises and use its authority to influence the projects that fall within its boundaries. I ask that the borough begin and continue discussions with the City of Kupernoff on the Intertie and the road. And finally, and most importantly, that the Borough Assembly use its voice and authority to keep an Intertie from dissecting the treasured estuary of Petersburg Creek. The first step would be for the borough to make a strong response before and after the Intertie draft environmental impact statement to unequivocally oppose any Intertie around, through, over, or under Petersburg Creek. Thank you very much. Any questions? I'll give Kathy the address to send the comments to. So, thank you.
Any other visitors' views unrelated? Okay. Any board, commission, or committee reports? There is nothing for the consent agenda tonight. Is there any report from any other officers? Okay. Then it's time for the mayor's report, which is going to be brief. The mayor is fishing herring and due back the end of the month. And both he and I have been invited to attend the SEPA meeting in Ketchikan next week and tour the Swan Lake, look at the dam and the proposed raising of that dam. And hopefully we'll both be there, so we can learn a little bit more about all the excitement at SEPA and Ketchikan and Wrangell and see what's going on down there. So with that, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. The police chief search committee has decided upon the finalists who will be invited to Petersburg to interview. We have confirmations on 2 of the 3 that yes, they still are interested, and yes, they're coming. I'll give you their names. The third one, we're waiting for a confirmation that he's actually still interested. But first gentleman, his name is Kelly Swihart. He's the current chief of police in Hoona. Prior experience as a division commander and lieutenant in Wasilla and an officer in Palmer. The second candidate, who at this time is confirmed, is a gentleman by the name of Robert Kappelman. He's the current captain and assistant chief in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, which is on the shores of one of the Great Lakes. He's been there since 1992, came up through the ranks there. He's a 2003 graduate of the FBI National Academy. So those are 2 of the 3 that we have invited that are in the process of coming. The third, I'll get his name out as soon as we get confirmation that he's agreed to come. So again, we're hoping to have 3 candidates here beginning on April 26th, and we'll put them through kind of a weekend-long tour as well as some interviews. So, and we're going to have a community receptions for the police staff, a couple of dinners with various folks, and try to give them, the community, a chance to come out and meet everybody. And we are also bringing their spouses as well if they're available. So anyway, thank you. We had some slight issues on the downtown road project. Some electrical conduit that fed the streetlights needed to be relocated. We supposedly handled that fairly well. I think it's all replaced at this point, or close, Carl, or we getting, yeah, okay. Getting there. We've brought in some temporary lighting if necessary, just in case, 'cause, thanks to Carl for that. He was a little worried about it getting awful dark downtown with those street lights out. One thing is we have seen they're starting to pour concrete, so part that's been torn up for a while looks like it's starting to get cleaned up a little bit. Parks and Rec is working with the high school baseball team to offer the Major League Baseball pitch, hit, and run competition on May 11th. Property assessments have been mailed out. Appeals are due by the end of April. Jody leaves this for me when she leaves, so I have to deliver the bad news. Finishing up work around several inspections up in Mountain View Manor. For those of you who are not familiar, Sheila and her group have a process where they're basically constantly under some form of inspection. Department of Environmental Conservation, which is DEC, the Real Estate Assessment Center, which is REAC, and state licensing have all been in her world over the last few weeks and continuing over the next month or so. Asphalt shingle roof is pretty much complete on the new library. Exterior siding is underway. A project is scheduled for substantial completion by mid-June to July, with a grand opening, I think, right around the first part of August. So, date for pre-construction meeting for the North Harbor is tomorrow. Glow, is that still on? Yes. There we go. Okay. P&D, Western Dock and Bridge, and their subs, Carl and Glow, will all be attending. Thank you, Carl, for helping us out. We're just trying to make sure we do that pre-construction meeting well, and Glow's going to learn it so well she'll never have to worry about it again. Middle and South Harbor are full, so Harbor staff and Glow are still moving boats around to the best of their ability, but it's starting to get a little harder. Landfill slope stabilization project, which is part of the North Harbor project, is out to bid. Pre-bid meeting will be held on April 23rd. Bids will open on May 7th. Again, this is part of what do we do with the dredge spoils that coming out of the North Harbor. We have to have a place for them, and we're using them to fill in some areas at the landfill. Water treatment plant upgrades are progressing. You may remember we were a little concerned about the speed of the first filter train. That got done. We did give the contractor permission to start on the second, and things are going pretty well. They need to have that scheduled completion is May 14th. This is before our water use starts to go high, and so it's real critical to stay on top of that. And Sandy participated in a statewide live tsunami drill. This is stuff where we kind of test the system a little bit. There were some issues with the State Emergency Operations Center connection to Petersburg. Signal came through but did not activate the alert system. So again, that's why you do these things, to try to find those pieces and parts that aren't working quite right. And then we can fix them and move on to the next problem. So that's it, unless there's questions for me.
Any questions? No? Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, under unfinished business, we have ordinance number 2013-5, an ordinance adjusting the fiscal year 2013 budget to address known changes in the second reading. The ordinance provides for the known changes necessary for the current year budget. Each proposed change contains a narrative explaining the need for the changing budget. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, moved by Member Strand, seconded by Member Wohlhuter to adopt the ordinance number 2013-5. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Sue,
Yes?
Kurt,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Nothing new under the Borough. The Juneau appeal is progressing. The LBC and the Petersburg Borough briefs are due on May 6th. No new items on the future transition. Under redistricting, there's nothing new. And the SEPA and D. Hiddle report. Ketchikan has voted to proceed with an analysis of future individual sale of the SEPA projects. The Petersburg Assembly had indicated in the past a desire to conduct a work session or special meeting to discuss the D. Hiddle report and related matters. Do we want to schedule that, or?
If I may, I think once you have the opportunity to go to the meeting in Ketchikan, I think we'll have a better idea of the next step. The Ketchikan mayor called me yesterday looking for Mark, and there is at least some interest in Ketchikan and Wrangell to talk about the whole, do they want to sell off pieces and parts? Do we want to stay in? Kind of the whole SEPA, Thomas Bay, KPU issue. I have a feeling that you'll get a better feel for that while you're down there, and then from there we'll know what maybe the next step would be.
Yeah, and it would be good if Mark was back for that too, because he's been in touch with the SEPA manager quite a bit. So, okay, we will move on to new business. Then we have ordinance number 2013-6, an ordinance providing for Chapter 14.30 of the Municipal Code entitled Mountain View Manor Elderly Housing and Assisted Living Facility, updating rents to current levels and applying the provisions of this ordinance on an area-wide basis in the first reading. The proposed ordinance has been reviewed by legal counsel and will convert the current provisions of the City of Petersburg Code to the Petersburg Borough Code. So, do I have a motion? Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion by Member Strand and seconded by Member Wohlhuter. Any discussion?
Yeah, I
Cindy?
didn't. This is really a small point. I noticed one typo on the last page on item B. And it's dinning instead of dining.
On item B, did you say?
On the very last page.
Oh, I'm not on the last page.
We should change that to dining. We don't want them raising.
You don't want them dinning, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? Sheila, did you have anything to add? Okay.
I just so I understand the mechanics of this, we are now making a profit on Mountain View, correct?
We're closer.
Okay.
Elderly housing, assisted living. One of the things this ordinance changes, you'll notice, is we took out specific references to the number of units in each, because we've given Sheila the authority to balance that to what our waiting list is and to move towards an environment where the more assisted living, the better, the revenue's better. As we've done that, we've seen an improvement in our profit loss.
Okay.
It is still not making money, but it's a whole heck of a lot closer than it was.
And that was really the crux of my question. I understand that this, that money from an enterprise fund went into this, and then if we make money on this, that goes back into the enterprise fund. Is
Yes,
that
it
correct?
does. That is correct.
And just so that I know, the enterprise fund originated from state funds. Where did that money come from originally?
I believe Mountain View Manor, and somebody have to help me this before my time, the facility itself was built with bond money,
Okay.
which local citizens voted on and
Okay.
approved.
I just wanted to make sure that if we were supposed to be paying money back, we would be doing that, and we're not at that point yet.
We are.
No, and to your credit, yes.
Yes. Yeah, if Mountain View Manor didn't have a bond payment, I think some of it's, we need Jody here, but some of it's supplemented with property tax revenue
Okay.
for that bond revenue. But
All right. Thank you for that
it's,
explanation.
the facility is in much better shape, and Sheila deserves an awful lot of credit for that.
For
If
sure.
not all the credit for that.
I think that was last year the first year that it went on the property tax?
Do you know?
Yeah, I think so. So this will just be the second year that we have picked that up on property tax, so.
The state has licensed us now for 30 residents. So the whole new building is considered assisted living. It's just whether or not they have an independent care plan or dependent. So that gives us the flexibility to fill them up as we can.
We've come a long way in 2 years. I'm so impressed.
I'm very thankful.
Thank you.
We're very busy.
Yeah, great. Okay, any further discussion on the ordinance? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Nancy.
Yes.
Sue.
Yes?
Kurt.
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 4-0. Okay. Resolution 2013-11 is a resolution requesting support from the legislature of the Sealaska Heritage Institute's Sustainable Arts Project, reintroducing skin sewing to produce and market sea otter handicrafts. Assemblymember Wohlhuter first presented this resolution to the Assembly on March 18th. He has asked that consideration now be given to the resolution. And that is in your packet. What page, Kurt?
Well, mine's just floating for a year.
I think it was in the,
I got it.
You got it?
Page 22.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So do we have a motion for the resolution?
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Member Wohlhuter and seconded by Member Lagadakis to pass Resolution 2013-11 regarding the sea otters. So any discussion on this resolution? Kurt?
Mr. Mayor, just a clarification. Now that the legislature's out, this is probably kind of too late, probably. But anyway, it's just part of a building block that I think we want to establish with the governor and with the legislatures back in, or the senators and representatives back in Washington, D.C., and eventually with our own representatives up in Juneau, that we do have a sea otter issue, and this is just one way that we could support, the possibility of getting that on step a little bit. We do have another resolution tonight that we're going to be looking at it a little later that puts a little more teeth in it, so that's like the second brick in the foundation, and I'm afraid we're going to have to build the whole wall before anything ever gets done. So anyway, we don't think this will carry a whole lot of weight, but at least we're throwing our our support behind this anyway, or at least I intend on.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Kurt,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
and Nancy.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution passes 4-0. Okay, now we move on to an authorization to amend the professional services agreement with Dowell HKM. The Borough entered into a professional services agreement with Dowell HKM on January 8, 2013 for the design study portion of the pump station force main replacement project. In order to construct the force main improvements concurrent with the South Nordic resurfacing project to be performed by the Alaska DOT, the Borough will need 95% plans and specs for the new force main provided to ADOT by June 1. The Public Works Department is recommending that the professional services agreement with Dowell HKM be amended to include final design services for the project at a cost not to exceed $97,780. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Member Strand, seconded by Member Lagadakis to approve the, or to amend the professional services agreement with Dowell HKM to complete the final design services at a cost not to exceed $97,780. Any discussion?
Mrs. Mayor, if I may just be open about it. We have this. The source of this money is a loan that the Assembly has previously approved. That loan has not finished being processed, meaning the money has not been released to us. We've been told that it's going to be released to us. On the other hand, we have checked and we have enough money in the wastewater reserves that if for some reason the loan does not come through, we can take it out of reserves and pay it in that fashion. Okay. So, just purpose of full disclosure, again, you've previously approved the application for the loan. That's in process. Unfortunately, good thing the project's moving so quickly. This came up faster than we wanted it to. On the other hand, it's kind of important for those very same reasons. We need to stay ahead of DOT because we want to do this either in conjunction or before they redo that road. So,
Okay.
Chris, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, a question for the city manager. Steve, where are we getting the loan from?
Isn't that DEC?
Alaska Department of Environmental
Conservation.
This is where we get the majority of our funding for water and wastewater projects.
And that's for the full amount, that $97,000.
Yeah, the the amount they approved is actually $270,000. That was for design of this project. We're expecting that it will not cost that much, probably $160,000 or so. And if we end up with a balance left over, then we should be able to apply that balance to the construction portion of the project.
Okay, anything further? Clerk will call the roll.
Cindy,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
and Sue.
Yes. So, motion carries 4-0. Does anyone have any communications? I think he's under discussion
I
item.
think we're in, yeah.
Nancy? We did receive one letter from Barb and Mike Lur offering the old side of the Piston and Rudder business there, the Tidelands lot, and that has been referred to the Harbor Board. And other than that, what did we get? Thomas Bay Power has sent over their budget for next year, and we will look at that at our next meeting also. Cindy?
I did receive some communication from Joe Sebastian regarding the state's decision not to do environmental assessments for herbicide spraying. And so he and I believe Barry Bracken are working on drafting a resolution that they want to present to us at a future date, but they want to make sure that that it's well crafted before they present it to the council, but that will be coming up.
Good. Good. Glad to hear that. We've been through that before. Okay, anything further? Okay, recognitions. Sandy?
I would like to recognize John Steffens. He passed away early morning hours, April 9th, 2013, and he was a member of the volunteer fire department since July of 1965. So I think it's important that the community recognize him. The family requested that the memorial service be held at the fire station. So on Sunday, the 22nd, from 2 to 4 p.m., the community is invited to memorial service in honor of John.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mrs. Mayor, this might be a good time to thank all those people that dedicated some time and effort into the ad hoc committee for the sea otters. So there's so many names that I probably would forget somebody, so I don't even think I'll start to, but you guys all know who you are. Thank you.
Okay, then that brings us to your next resolution.
Yeah, brick number 2 on our foundation of getting things moving. It's the resolution that the ad hoc committee came up with. Oh, I'm reading the wrong one. There we go. It's something that we should have a look at, and then maybe at the next meeting we could pass this along to the governor, to our representatives back in Washington, D.C., at least to get it on record, you know, and we made this is basically just following the outline of resolution 958 that you guys, or 1958, that Mark and Mike worked on 2 years ago, I guess, and we just did some revisions in there to give it maybe a little more urgency in our language, and so we'll just see where it takes us. We don't think it's going to get a lot of traction, but if we don't put it in there or put it out there, you won't get any traction. So as Wayne Gretzky used to say, you miss every shot you don't take. So anyway,
Okay.
just to look this over.
Thank you. Let's see, anybody with any other discussion items? Or I had one question. I thought maybe Leo would be here and maybe know the answer.
Maybe.
Maybe you know.
Possibly.
Well, you know, we're having all our company next month here in Petersburg for the Little Norway Festival, and everybody's busy cleaning up, and I'm just wondering about the Hammer Slough, the collapsed warehouse there.
Carl, do you have any update at all?
No, I don't have any update. We'll be working with Mr. Hingy to try and get him to clean it up as soon as possible.
That would sure be nice,
He got to a
wouldn't it?
certain point, and then it's kind of
It's the most
efforts to find
photographed
out.
area of Petersburg, you know, and it's not looking very good right now. So
Yeah.
that was my only.
Hopefully the solution won't be a blue tarp over there.
Or Tamil.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Or a sign that says garage sale.
Right. One thing we haven't talked about is all our meetings next week, our budget hearings.
Point. I don't even have the schedule in front of me.
I
I'm sorry.
believe we start on the 22nd, Monday. And is that the
Afternoon,
school?
department heads.
Oh, that's department heads.
And
Does that sound?
Friday
Okay.
is your other batch of people, school, hospital, and I'm not sure what.
Mostly those two, I
Community service
Oh, right.
budgets.
Right, okay. So does everyone have that on their calendars?
At
Monday at
1:30?
noon?
No, mine says 1:30.
Oh, is it 1:30?
I don't have
Well,
those.
We will have to
I
get
have
some
something here.
information out.
I have 1:30 serve community service. Is there some other meeting at 1:30?
The community service meetings, and I'm trying to do this from memory, I believe Jody broke them into 30-minute intervals for each different group, because it's the school, hospital, and all the others.
And then I have budget work session, but no time.
They're both at noon, one on Monday and one on Friday.
Okay,
I may be a little late.
okay. And then also our next meeting will be our noon meeting on May 6th. So,
I will not be attending that one. I'll do a teleconference, though.
okay.
I'll be on the East Coast in a rented house on the beach. So
Oh.
that's where we're going. Big family
It
reunion.
won't be stormy.
Hopefully not.
Okay, anything further?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.